All right. Hello, community. Welcome to another Jasper Developer Podcast. We are excited to bring this to you. I'm joined today by Jason Giese, our President and CEO of Jasper EcoDev, and also joined by Mr. Stuart Swanson, who is the Chairman of Arizona EcoDev and also Jasper EcoDev. So thank you, Stuart, for being with us.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Jason, as always.
You're welcome. I want to ask the first question.
Please.
Where do you live, Stuart?
I live in Vienna, Austria.
It's interesting. So I think he's the first person on our show that's ever been from Europe.
Absolutely.
Maybe we'll have more someday.
Maybe we can get this broadcasted internationally. What do you think?
I like it.
Yeah. Well, welcome. It's a long trip, obviously, but
Thank you.
We appreciate you being here. You were able to look around Jasper today. What were your impressions, thoughts, observations?
It's looking beautiful. It was gorgeous being up on the new faces, looking down. I liked that very much. I thought the development looked lovely. I still think the roofs are too close together when I look down on it, but it doesn't seem that way when you're actually driving through it all. There's a lot more room. But,
It's amazing how small the club looks up on the hill, looking out to the north, isn't it?
Yeah, I was thinking we should have put in that tower. Do you remember that huge smokestack they had, those architects?
I actually do remember that, and I can't remember how much it cost, but we had a very large, more of a smokestack than a chimney for sure on the club.
Yeah, it was kind of one of these brutalist towers. It was
Obelisk.
Yeah, it was almost like an obelisk, but it had it was for a grill or a outdoor fireplace, but I think it went up like 30 or 40 yards.
It was
huge.
It was massive.
We wanted it to be visible from the highway, but then it was too visible from our budget point of view. Yeah.
Well, that's a great segue into what we have prepared, or questions, themes that we kind of put together for you today. Ultimately, what we have pegged is talking a little bit about J Club, right? Because it is a very kind of unique structure, and would love your thoughts on what was the original design, which you already kind of gave us some ideas, versus what does it actually look like. And then we were talking a little bit about phase 3 and what's happening with the new Jasper development. And then lastly, as Jason and Dave Bullock teed up Eco Homes so lovely for us last developer update, would love your kind of thoughts behind the formation and the intent of Eco Homes as well.
Sure.
What did I miss, Jason?
I don't think you missed anything, but just to cue Stuart, the first meeting that we had, I believe, was with maybe LVA, a different architecture firm than we actually went with. I can remember that it didn't go real well. Do you remember that?
No.
So he's an honest man.
Mm-hmm.
The farmhouse concept.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there we go.
That. Yeah.
Yep. We started off on probably the wrong foot, at least the wrong foot as far as you were concerned. And that created evolution as it relates to what we ended up with. And so I think that...
What year would have that been? 2013?
Good question.
14?
15, probably.
Okay.
And I think Jasper at that time was called Cimarron. Or no, it was Glassford Heights. Mm-hmm. And then there was a recommendation for it to be called Cimarron.
That was the name of an old Cadillac, wasn't it?
Yeah, and we were just
kind of a failed small Cadillac.
Not good.
Yeah.
Didn't work out at all. And I'm being very polite because the reaction that Mr. Swanson had was not so polite, maybe. But it was we've come a long ways. That's the bottom line. And obviously part of the reason that we've been able to do that is because we have a different style, trying to create a brand, and we owe that to you. And so I think that what our residents would love to hear about is like, why was it important for you to stand out in the marketplace and create differentiation?
Well, first of all, because everything back then, not just in Prescott Valley, I would even say even in Prescott, seemed a little bit tired, a little bit old-fashioned, and a little bit too kind of 80s and 90s. And we wanted to do something clean and contemporary And it was about the time that there was all these new eateries popping up in Phoenix. You know, we were even calling it like LA was moving a little bit eastwards, like a rebound in. And I mean, there were nice, you know, places that had sort of an industrial vibe, restaurants, bakeries, coffee houses opening. And it was new for Phoenix. And that really started to happen after about the same time as the Great Recession. It really wasn't here until 2008, 10.
Yeah.
When I say here, I'm talking Phoenix. And we were thinking, you know, and there were a couple places in Prescott. What was that coffee house that we would go to that had a little bit of a vibe?
Wild Orchid?
Yeah, that would have been Wild Orchid.
Wild Iris.
Wild
That's right.
Iris, that was it. That was the first one, yeah. And kind of had an industrial vibe. And I've always liked the mid-century period, and we were thinking that could be done up here, and it would create more of a differentiated streetscape and look modern and clean. I don't know if it looks dated now, but it still visually to me looks contemporary.
The comment about streetscape, I'm sorry to speak over the top of you, but I do now remember that very well, that we were trying to get to a finished product that wasn't just a series of garage doors.
Right.
And had a real track type development feel, and not only for higher end product, but also for all product types throughout the development.
Yeah, and we wanted to, it's not hard to differentiate against Granville, of course, but, we wanted to do something that wasn't brown or tan. And, I'm real proud of it as I walk around. It worked out. At the time, people thought we were a little bit odd, I think, and that we might not be successful, but there might not be demand. But, we were, back then Teslas were really cutting edge, and but people wanted them, yeah. And, we were going, well, people are driving Teslas up here. This was, 14, 15, whenever it was, 16. And they were mostly coming from California and Phoenix. They're going to respond to this. And, people were taking trips down to Phoenix for food and going to those same restaurants and enjoying them. And we were just thinking it would be more relevant. And we had some failures. We were trying to make the streetscape a little more colorful. Our builders pushed back, maybe reflecting residents' views, maybe reflecting what builders think. I still think we could have been more colorful.
There's still lots of houses to build.
There are, yeah.
Very true.
So that was, we were really trying to just take a page out of good architecture and see if it could be executed in a mass-built environment, which it had been before in other areas, but it hadn't been done up here, as far as I know.
No. Not that I'm aware of either. Yeah. So along those lines, we just got a sneak peek of the next generation of architecture that's going to be in Jasper Phase 3 when we visit the new model complex. And we're very excited to bring the next evolution to the marketplace. We think that it'll be well received. The lots are spectacular, really, really good. I wish that we could always have phases that had lots of that quality. But I think one thing, too, that's so much fun about the business is when you go from the dirt's flying, the dust complaints are coming in, the town is calling, everybody's generally mad. You build the phase, you get it paved, and we get to have a day like we had today where we actually stand on the phase before the first house has ever come. And you have to make this giant mess in order to end up with a product at the end of the day. And I know, speaking for myself, I'm super excited about our next phase of lots and the I don't want to call it new architecture, but a continuation of the architecture as it started in Jasper. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think we can get in more variety. We saw some really nice sketches today from Echo Homes, like with a Frank Lloyd Wright model, which I think we should sprinkle that in even to phases, or even earlier phases where there's still lots available in get a little bit more variety in, but all in good architectural taste, not like some hodgepodge. So you still feel like you're in a master plan community. And I liked that. I thought some of the way what's the right word? The way the phases.
Terraced?
Yeah, it's tiered. It's tiered, kind of like a vineyard and, stepped up. And I thought some of the inner lots, not the ones on the edge of the tier, but the inner lot whose view would be obstructed by the house on the other side of the road, which was on the edge of the tier and had a clean view. Maybe we could build a few two-story houses, maybe even one or two with a tower, not obstructing the next tier's view, but giving it even more variety. And might get a few more families in, have some bigger houses, and just one bedroom or a rec room up on a roof might be kind of fun. But also, again, more variety even in your roofs. And I think what I was talking about construing too many roofs too close together. Once we get a little bit more mature vegetation, that may disappear as well. I mean, that's something that you always forget about.
Right.
How's it going to look 20 years from now? And
that's a good point.
and,
It'll
maybe-
definitely get softened up from the maturing
yeah, and some of it will disappear.
landscaping.
Right.
Yeah.
The other thing that struck me when we stood up there, I probably shouldn't say this with Stuart here, but it's the first time that I was on the top tier of lots today. The park, the permanent open space, the view shed to the south and to the west is excellent. And I really feel like there's going to be folks that will prefer those orientations. Obviously, there's folks that will say, well, I want to be able to see the San Francisco peaks, and that's available. But looking the quote unquote wrong direction, if you will, it felt good.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, if you're on the edge of a park.
Well, it reiterates what I know about our Jasper community, right? They like the being in nature. It's an active lifestyle. They like the ability of accessibility as well, right? Being able to enjoy the trailheads and some of the other offerings that are close by. I know you're going to hate this question, but if you had to give us a timeline of when we could expect development for the trailhead and what's happening there with the open space, what would you predict?
So since you love to ask me about deadlines and timelines, the road grand opening is something that is in the works.
Correct.
So our anticipation is that our residents would get a sneak peek, a preview. I don't know exactly how to do that with the town of Prescott Valley, to be honest with you, other than to just open the gates to our residents, which we're happy to do.
Sure.
Radovich said that Rick Radovich, who's our construction manager, said he was waiting on final walkthrough punch list with the town of Prescott Valley as it would relate to a vehicular grand opening
For Jasper Parkway.
Jasper Parkway South. So that's to come. We're into the holidays here, so that'll, a couple of days will end up being a couple of weeks. Next piece of it then would be after we have that preview, the model complex. And so at the present time, ECO is in for permit review and approval, town of Prescott Valley. Estimated timeline to start, Mr. Bullock would say in January. I hope he's right. We'll find out. Certainly in February that will start. The other thing that I think our customers or clients, residents would be interested in is that we'll be pre-selling in that phase. And so folks that are interested to look at the road, I'm leading here and marketing because I have the opportunity to do so. Yeah, look at me. They're going to get a sneak peek at lots that aren't to market yet.
Nice.
And so that's the least we can do, obviously, for our customers, because our residents are our customers. And so we look forward to that, because I think there will be folks that go, ooh, I'm thinking about selling my house and moving up there.
Yeah, I think that will definitely be the case. Stuart, what were your thoughts seeing the parkway and kind of seeing the full vision of what that phase of development and what Jasper Parkway South will allow? Kind of what was that like for you today?
Oh, well, I can't wait till that road's been open. It's been so long. And,
Why does he look at me when he says that?
I don't know. I think he's going to kick you under the table.
No, it's a nice road. It kind of wiggles along down to 69. So now obviously that'll open up a much nicer way to Prescott Valley and Prescott.
I didn't dodge the question about the trailhead. I just forgot. So we looked at the pad that will be the trailhead. And my recollection is we had to get through something from the town of Prescott Valley before they would review our plans, which were submitted quite some time ago. Oh, we needed the final plat for phase 3. So obviously that's been accomplished. So presumptively, they're reviewing our plans for our structures presently. And my recall, it's actually been a long time since I looked at it, but there was a Ramada kind of a meeting area, parking lot that has about 65 to 70 parking stalls, a Ramada area, a shade area, drinking fountain, something like you'd see at Gateway, McDowell Mountain Ranch,
And public restrooms.
And full public restrooms, not
Porta potties.
not porta potties. No, sir. So
We're going to go one up on Prescott Valley.
we're gonna raise the bar.
There we are.
So we should have, in theory, comments in January on the vertical drawings, and then we have to figure out how much it costs. Not to bid it again, because I don't think we've ever bid it. We've just had cost estimation from Radovich, and then find the money and build it. It's an amenity. It's part of our marketing package. From my perspective, it's a priority to get it built in 2025. So I don't have a start date for you, and I obviously don't have a completion date, but we'd like to see it completed in 2025.
Yeah.
It's a value add.
Certainly a value add. I forget the word that you mentioned, but just the unique piece of Jasper being in Prescott Valley, right? And upping the bar, right? And creating a different expectation for the Prescott Valley community. So the idea of Jasper, back in 2013, 14?
I'm going to say it goes all the way to 12.
12.
Oh, yeah. We were debating it.
Huge risk, right? And obviously trying to find the location, and all the stars had to align to create the idea and put it into a project plan. So talk a little bit about that, Stuart. Like, what allowed you to take those next steps? Why make a Jasper in Prescott Valley?
Well, we kind of stumbled into it. I think that's the best way of describing it. First of all, we bought the ranches in 2011. And it was 15,000 acres, and it was Prescott Valley, Chino, and Yavapai County acreage, essentially. And the one that we got zoned first was Prescott Valley. And 10 years ago, things moved really quite quickly in Prescott Valley compared to Prescott. And it was known as a very development-friendly town, I think. Would
Pro-growth.
Pro-growth back then. And so this was the first place on the ranches that we could experiment. And so, we came in here, and obviously the physical beauty of the land is just exceptional. And, we thought at the time, that we could do something really different than what was nearby. And, all the ambitions that we had for the entire ranches, I think we kind of focused on Jasper. And, we went out and spoke to a lot of Phoenix developers. We didn't think that we'd end up being in development ourselves. But all of the visions that we saw and what was available, remember, this was still in the tail end of the Great Recession. I mean, people were pretty gun-shy, I think would probably be the right word.
Fair.
And so, we spoke with many quite famous, at least in the real estate development community, companies and owners, and what was offered us and what they were planning to do. First of all, it wasn't very economically exciting. But the main thing was it didn't catch kind of a respect for the land, because the land was gorgeous. And Mr. Wilkinson, who'd owned it with his family for 3 or 4 generations with Pointer Rocks and GDR, he had really good taste too. And we wanted to do something special that we'd be proud of afterwards. And I think the other guiding light was someplace that we'd like to live, you know? So that was it was always the first point of view is what would you like if you lived here? Yeah. We always return to that. It's kind of like, you know, the best question to ask your employees, what would you do if you owned it yourself, you know? Because it causes you to reflect slightly.
And it's always a challenge then to blend the product types, right? So in major metro Phoenix, you have entry level, which would be maybe it's a newly married couple, or maybe they had their first kid and they move out of the apartment. And there's move up, and then higher end. I'm simplifying it to 3 different classes. So when you look at Jasper now, as we understand it, from a price point perspective, we have houses that have sold for basically $500,000 in 2024, and a couple houses that sold for over 1.6 million.
Right.
And they're different sizes, different size lots. And to Stuart's point, because a house is cheaper doesn't mean that it's not a home, can't be a home, and it's not nice. And so that basic principle that he's talking about returning to is, okay, if I lived here, is this decision, that the ramifications of the decision, is it acceptable? Do we cut the landscape budget and cheapen things up? Or are we making a mark that we hope that lasts for a long time? And so I think that we always look at it's always been a super long-term project, no matter what we talked about, what we tried to do. We always come back. We don't have any financial partners. Stuart is the financial partner. We have banks, we take loans, and that creates risk. But we've never wanted to sub our authority or vision out to somebody else. That's just never worked, even when we've been in those conversations, which has happened multiple times to date.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you use the word experiment, which if you've listened to past developer updates, Jason speaks to that a lot, right? It's been just kind of let's follow what we would want for ourselves. Let's see what the market tells us. Let's look at what the available opportunities are and create a plan from there. So knowing that, what does the vision look like from here? What can people kind of expect? Is there any sort of application of learnings from what's happened since the start of Jasper that, you know, we can expect to see as differences or nuances?
That's probably a mean question to ask him. I'll jump in there and you can clean it up. So as we move forward, we've talked about phase 3, and we'll continue to evolve. You're hearing Stuart say politely, push it harder, right? Whether that's a 2-story product that doesn't interfere with view sheds, or the type of architecture he'd like to see us continue to push forward, and not just, accept that we've been successful and it's good enough. I think that as it relates to the club, we get lots of comments about the club, right? How would you do the club differently today? So my wife is now serving as my trainer, which I did not sign up for, but this has happened to me. And so I've actually been using our gym personally. Yeah. We have a really nice gym.
We have a really nice gym.
That's good.
It's really
I'd like
good.
to use that place.
The equipment's excellent. People, it's well used. It's great. And it makes me wonder into the future with folks living longer, living healthier, being very concerned about wellness. Obviously, this is why my wife's my trainer, right? How do we have enough facility, if you will, to take care of the demand?
But we're going to do a second gym probably in north once we get up that way, and a satellite club facility. That's the plan. Right?
Yes. And
then, of course, the office is being used by that weird-sounding real estate firm be turned into what? I mean, that's also going to be seeded over to the club at some point in 2 or 3 years, yeah?
So, yes, there's extra capacity in the building that's not utilized presently by the association. And we don't know what that programming would be.
Sure.
Right. Initially, we were thinking it could be a spa, but we're not sure whether there'll be demand for that. It just depends on what the residents want and what we think would be the most fulfilling, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, there's a lot of flexibility. You could also add on something to the club as well, right?
We could.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure in the future, we'll get into a conversation about additions to the club versus satellite.
Right.
Yeah.
They both cost, there's value in either way. There's cost either way.
Yeah.
It's kind of what maximizes the experience and the lifestyle here.
I think our residents have always appreciated, especially given where we're at in our community life cycle, that they have the opportunity to help shape what activation, what programming, what additional themes might bubble up to further inform, how the current club is utilized as well as the satellite. So I think that that's definitely something we've demonstrated and will continue as we see, how it evolves. The question, because people love the club. I mean, it's people come in just to look at it, really. And one of the things that I get comments on a lot, what do you think that is?
My mom's art.
That's exactly it. The artwork. Very good. So, and sometimes people ask questions like, this seems a little bit unusual for central Yavapai County. Like we expected, cowboys and Georgia O'Keeffe and something a little bit more Western. And so we have a conversation about it that, no, this was personally curated, by the owner specifically for the clubhouse. So can you talk a little bit or maybe speak on your mom's behalf in terms of kind of the purpose of the art that's in the clubhouse?
Well, first of all, most of the art in the clubhouse, you guys refresh my memory, it's not original, right? It's copies.
Correct.
Because, we have the original stuff in the offices. So, maybe at some point we'll start to put some original stuff out there. Again, it was just the same way as with the architecture in the built environment. Indoors here is we just wanted to do something that was reflecting the taste of the owners. So all the art there is stuff that I like, essentially. And I picked that with Tom, mostly Tom Wilson, our attorney, who I was at college with. And I don't think either of us took art history courses, but I certainly didn't. But anyway, just stuff that I've liked from museums and periods, again, mostly avant-garde, or what used to be called the avant-garde. Again, striving to look contemporary, modern, clean, abstracts mostly. And again, that's, and it's not to say that I don't like classical painting or Impressionism, but we just thought that would fit with the architecture and would also not be objectionable. Well, we hoped to most of the people who came in, and they could live with it.
No, the commentary is very positive, and I think it does mimic the architecture, the feel, the concept of the community. And, it really has created for this community of state of the art. It lends to the concept of being a state of the art facility and a desirable place where people want to come eat. They want to do a yoga class. They want to rent a space for a party. They want to buy a non-resident membership if they're not a resident here. So I think it creates that environment that certainly appeals.
Tell me, have you had a wedding here yet?
We have not had a wedding here yet. We've had lots of other styles and types of events. I think the lawn lends itself very nicely to that. But I think where we have limitations is seasonality and weather. So we haven't quite hit that wedding season yet, but we're ready, and invitation is out there for anyone that's interested. We have had a couple of receptions,
right?
But nothing that's no big grandiose wedding and reception combo.
How many people did you have at your party last week?
Oh yeah, we had our holiday spectacular last Friday. We had close to about 300 attendees. We had over 300 and I would say 60-ish registered for the event. So we landed a little bit under 300.
Was it all inside or was it kind of out?
No, actually it was at night from 4 to 8. And it's one of our signature events in the year that we purposely activate the clubhouse, but also do host home tours as part of the scope of the event because the weather is unpredictable in December. So we had 10 different host homes, including Capstone and Mandalay also participated during the evening. So residents could actually go visit their neighbors' houses, enjoy some holiday festivities in those houses through different times throughout the evening, come back up to the clubhouse, have some delicious food, appetizers provided by Superb, sit with Santa, have some good music, some wine, go back out to another house. So yeah, it was a great opportunity to activate the clubhouse as well as enlist our residents in opening up their homes to accommodate really what we didn't know to expect with the weather. But it actually was really nice. So people enjoyed being outside and on the patio for the evening as well.
Got lucky on the weather.
We got really lucky on the weather.
Kind of sounds to me like a Toledo block party that you arranged.
Definitely elevated, I would say. We set the bar very high. And actually that was we always ask our residents for feedback after those events. And, we're now at our 2 year we've done our signature events now. We have 3 signature events each year. We've done them all now twice. And so it's time to innovate. And so we're asking our residents for feedback. And one of the comments was, you all set the bar too high. Like, I have no other feedback to offer because I don't know how you increase from there. And so it's like, that's great. That's a huge win, but we won't rest on just what we've done in the past. We want to continue to innovate and grow, which hopefully mimics what we've been talking about here as it relates to the community and development as well.
Huh. And how's the dog park working?
That's a loaded question, Stuart.
Boy, he stepped in it there.
I know.
Pun intended.
Yeah. What's interesting? That is one of I would say between the fitness center and the dog park, I think those are our most utilized amenity spaces. So definitely highly visited by our residents. People enjoy it. It's a great space to come up and meet with neighbors, let their dogs run. We are getting requests for separation so that there's a dog space for larger dogs and a dog space for smaller dogs. Not uncommon in communities. So that request has come up. And then we deal with the fact that it is a retention pond, for lack of better terms. That's my word. And so sometimes we have some flooding, which can be a little bit contentious to deal with, but all in all, our residents appreciate it. They're, they're sharing their feedback. If there's something that's impeding their dog's use of that dog park, we are hearing about it, and we quickly work to find solutions and address that in the interest of the association and the board.
So that would definitely be a response in a survey moving forward on amenities for the community, segregation in the form of dog parks or a single park that is split.
Correct. Yeah. And because
is it big and little, or is it mean dogs, or what's the big problem?
Big and little, because if your dog's aggressive, you shouldn't really be bringing it up to a dog park anyway. So the request is having one for larger dogs, one for smaller. Some of our residents have provided some pretty creative solutions. They've heard you say in past developer updates how you haven't been happy with the grass growth coming up, Jasper, what is that? Jasper Drive. Thank you. And so we had one resident that said, hey, you could take one of those areas and turn that into a, potential dog park space. So, that's what
that's a good idea.
Right. And that's what I appreciate about our residents.
We wanted to get rid of some of the grass, right?
Exactly.
Providing
some solutions.
Yeah.
We've
creative.
Taken out 2 chunks of grass, and we got a third one coming in 2025 that's scheduled.
Yeah, residents say
probably
take it
the
out.
lower with the big at Ramada area. That would be the one that I would guess folks are looking at going, well, that could be a
easy space to transition. Yeah.
And you have large dogs in one place and small in the other.
Mm-hmm.
Always the same? Or you like
who gets to be by the club and the bar?
Right.
Yeah.
The big dogs or little dogs?
Well, we could activate.
We want the big ones.
You want the big dogs up by the clubhouse.
Yeah.
Maybe Superb would be willing to do a satellite bar,
Not
for
that have small dogs.
for the small dogs.
I hold the license, I believe, the liquor license.
You actually
I don't
do.
know that we can do that.
A satellite.
Yeah. I don't really want to go to jail. There's a lot I'll do for the company. I'm committed. I don't really want to go to jail, though, for someone who got crocked and got hurt down at the lower big dog park or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Well, this brings a question up. Which dog owners drink more, big dog owners or small dog owners?
That's a really good question.
But you could even
do a survey.
You could make your decision on that, or you could always say 3 days a week it's big dog owners in each park, and 3
There's
days.
the
I
answer.
think,
and there you have democracy,
scheduling
and
it.
everyone's happy.
Yeah, one of the
and
things
you could have Sundays. Everybody gets to come in and have fights. You got big and small.
Sunday is show up at your own risk.
There we are.
In all seriousness, one of the things we are looking at is for our priorities for 2025 in our strategic plan is how do we offer more diversification and how we're activating the community, the clubhouse, and amenity features like the dog park. So the concept of a yappy hour has been explored already. So it could be maybe we do a yappy hour for the larger dogs one Friday, and then maybe we switch the next week and it's small dogs, and then maybe it's a all are welcome. But
Tell me, do you require people to use pooper scoopers if the dog defecates on the sidewalks and stuff?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Responsibility of the homeowner.
People walking around with those plastic gloves and everything.
People are prepared with their own doggy bags.
We have cleanup stations.
Do you have doggy bag dispensers?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Really? Wow, that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have anyone who's like
sometimes we have to send.
Do you have a violator?
We do have to send some reminders out. We have a nice little did you know section in our e-blast that goes out to the community weekly, and our stance is always from education first versus enforcement. So it's a nice reminder. Hey, be responsible. Clean up after your pooch. There's no special doggy waste ferry that's going around and picking up after people. And so, we put it back on the residents and they have pride. They want this community to be clean.
Oh, yeah.
They want
I'm all
it.
for it.
And so they do it. And the other thing I'll share too, Stuart, that I've seen at least in the last year is more and more residents are taking additional next steps to find ways to further engage in how they're participating in their community. So we've launched civic programs now, like a leadership program for our residents. We've launched a welcome committee. So now we have residents that are welcoming new residents coming into the community.
Oh, that's nice.
And we're creating new social opportunities to engage our residents too. So what we're starting to see as we continue to evolve in our life cycle as a community that's thriving is more engagement, more interest from our residents to find things that they can do personally to benefit the community.
Nice.
It's working.
The experiment is working.
Yes, it is. For sure.
How many roofs we got now? Like 400, yeah?
We have
400 occupied?
Yeah, we have 422 occupied. At least that's who we're billing right now that I could tell you for the association.
And when does the association become self-financing? Pretty soon, right? Like it was 500 or 600?
650 was the target number. Yeah. And I think that we're close. I know that we didn't swing and whiff. So it's
swing and whiff. What does that mean?
Well, we were guessing when we at 650.
Yeah, in that sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and what we're seeing from an annual operating expense perspective is that the subsidy request is going down, right?
Yeah.
So homes are coming in, the request for, to subsidize is going down for both the association and J Club, which is how we want to be tracking. I think you'll be pretty close. I've been saying maybe more like 700, but I don't think it's a huge swing and a miss. I think what we're seeing is trending in that direction.
And how many of the temporary memberships do we have at the club?
We, at our peak, Stuart, we sold anywhere between $8,000 to $10,000 of day pass and non-resident memberships in a month. So I would tell you that number is somewhere around, I want to say like 200, but that would be a combination of both day passes and non-resident memberships, where it would be a longer, like 1 month, 2 month, 3 month, 6 month duration. So it's a thing. People were certainly coming here using the amenities, especially during peak pool season. We still see a few of those memberships and day passes trickle in, people that might want to use the fitness center if they're in town for, a weekend. But yeah, definitely that was our peak.
Excellent.
We're getting there.
You all answered my questions, so I guess that I'll leave it to the two of you, or to you too, Stuart. Is there anything else you'd want the residents to know? I guess we touched a little bit on eco homes, but anything else you'd want to also speak to as it relates to the why eco homes, or, the purpose behind that, and anything else for our time together?
Yeah,
well, Jason, you go ahead.
Yeah, I'd start and say that what we're trying to do from a business plan perspective is control our own destiny to the max degree possible. So there's challenges building the lots with the commercial banks, and then there's challenges selling finished lots to home builders. And that's a constant in this business, because the market cycles up, the market cycles down. And so it's challenging. Even when it's good, you're fighting over values. When it's bad, you're fighting over values. And so what we've tried to do for sure is create a more level, consistent, even delivery of finished lots that then become houses over the course of time. So from a business plan perspective, Eco is on the fringe of working. We're through our first year, started in June of 2023, excuse me. So 2024 result, our first year of operations, lost some money.
Not much.
Yeah, it was acceptable. And we're trending going into 2025. So from my perspective on the business end, that's the main thing that we're trying to achieve. It also allows us to control architecture, design, and style to a certain degree that would be different if we didn't have a builder that we were vested in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think you've also built a great team at
Thank
Eco
you.
with Jim Bullock and our friends from Capstone. So yeah, no, it's extraordinary actually. And I think that's going to be true with the variety of architectural styles. I think we're a lot more open to experimenting in-house. Because you give 3 builders license on concepts and you have no idea where it's going to go. So yeah, no, I think, and also we have leadership there that's architecturally pretty astute, I would say, in terms of good taste.
Mm.
You know, they actually like architecture, so that's interesting. So yeah, we're not going for the old warmed over stuff, I hope. So
I know that we will never go for the warmed over stuff. He will never let us do that.
But also we kind of thought, let's build our own stuff. We've come this far. Then we were made into a developer. Why not do the whole integrated chain?
Mm.
So that's sort of where we are. And, we're planning to go out now and do other developments here locally. And we're going to use the same formula.
Mm.
And maybe a different mix of architectural styles. We're going to try to experiment off-site as well and maybe bring success on-site. So I think we're talking about more of an eclectic mix of architectural styles going forward.
Well, and you haven't had the chance to be out in the community, but specifically in Prescott, the Evermore product looks shockingly. They've adapted a lot of our lines, right? And so it's a compliment on one hand, but it requires us to be creative and raise the bar yet again, which is good.
Right.
There's no question that we need to do that. I think the hardest part will prove to be over the course of time that when you're dealing with especially a smaller square footage home, you just don't have that much surface area on the wall that faces the street to put. It's difficult to get architecture in that streetscape. I think that'll be our challenge.
Yeah,
for sure. But as we move forward, things evolve and sometimes things come back into style. Sometimes new things are in style. And I think that we'll do our best to stay at the head of the class at a minimum. And then affordability comes in. Constructability equates to affordability. And so especially as we're in a period of time right now where housing is very expensive nationally, folks are very aware of that. How do you keep costs down and still deliver a product that is good looking, looks cool, whatever, the case may be? It's a real challenge. That's for darn sure.
And that ages well.
Great point.
Yeah, that's very true. I'm just thinking about our last podcast with, having Capstone and, speaking to the intentionality of partnerships, right? And it sounds like from everything that I've heard and observed, we have the right partnerships in place that are enabling us to have that level of innovation and with your leadership, Stuart, to not rest on what we've done previously and know that that's going to be the expectation, right? You're pushing the envelope. And I think not only is it a benefit, obviously, for our residents because it's increasing home value, it's also elevating what the kind of norm looks like in central Yavapai County, which I think is huge for someone that lives here and wants it to look nice. So thank you.
Oh, well, it's our pleasure. You know, I just hope we can do something interesting over further west. So our next development will be what we call Homestead. We haven't come up with a appropriate name, but it's the old homestead from the ranches, just north of Watson Lake, and south of
89A.
89A, yeah. And that's going to be really interesting. So we haven't actually come up with a dedicated architectural theme there.
If anybody comes
was gonna
across something
say.
super cool,
that an
we'd love to
invitation?
hear about it for sure.
That's right. Yeah.
And an invitation for names too, right? Because I know that that's something that you might always be seeking outside influence
Names
on.
are always a challenge.
That's right.
But if someone's like kids are traveling in Texas and they take pictures, I mean, hey, excuse me, we're definitely open for ideas because that project should be very, very. It's wonderful land. We have an obligation. We feel an obligation to make sure that our vertical product matches the wonderful natural
Aesthetic, yeah.
beauty, and it's not always easy. Larger houses, that's a different story, right? That's why people like custom houses. You get to do whatever they'd like. Budgets are different. So when you're trying to hit, generally speaking, 3 different price points at a minimum, 4 would be even better over the course of time. It gets to be a challenge.
Right. While having consistency, right? So it all looks like at least it's part of the same.
At least out of the same vein, right? Synergy. And we don't want to have a phase 4 of Jasper someday clash with phase 3 of
Right.
Jasper. We want them to, peacefully coexist next to each other. So it's fun, but it is definitely a challenge. And names are they're hard too, because names are forever. We'd love to say that houses are forever, but the reality of it is people,
what were some of our names before we set it on Jasper?
For which project?
This one.
Oh, for this project.
Yes.
Well, we were looking at historical names that, probably weren't real appropriate. We probably shouldn't be sharing them here on this podcast because podcasts last forever too. It's metadata, right?
There we are. Okay. Well, no, I just, I'm having a momentary blank. I thought you'd share with us, Jason.
Well, you're just trying to bait me into getting in trouble is what you're trying to do. But that, we're open. But I think, did we do a survey this year? You triggered me with the survey of the residents. So, I don't have a recall.
We do a survey every year. Typically it's July, August, and we ask them about why Jasper and what do they like and what are some of the
Right. Yeah, I've
things
seen
that they
some of
would
that.
ask for improvement. And I mean, generally it's always about the architecture. No one's really commented on the names necessarily, but certainly the architecture gets a lot of nods and acknowledgement.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, no, but I hope we're not disturbing anyone. And we're not talking about massive changes in architectural style or anything. We're not talking about farmhouse, or we're not talking about Tudors or haciendas or, Tuscan villas. We're just talking about, maybe a little bit of Frank Lloyd Wright, maybe derivative type stuff. Something contemporary or deco, that kind of thing. Just mix and match a bit. But it'd be nice to have some variety. We weren't ready for that before at all. We were absolutely insistent. And so we'll see if it works. The first place we'll do it is in new phases so that
Makes sense.
and we'll let people know up front. But if there's not any objections, people like it, we might consider it to mix some in the existing phases. Right, Jason? That would be,
Sure.
That would,
And so people are clear, like in phase 2, we have lots that are finished that don't have a house on them.
Right.
And so to expand the menu, the approved menu, if you will, that's specifically what Stuart's talking about. And
Absolutely.
it goes back to your point, Marlo, where the relationships need to be synergistic. It can't clash, right?
Right.
So, which isn't all that hard to accomplish. It's just that things evolve and markets change, people's tastes change, square footages will change. There'll be periods of time where people want larger square footage. There's going to be more periods of time, in my opinion, where they want less square footage. I want a smaller lot, not a larger lot. But I want a really nice house. I want my finishes in my house to be really nice and high quality, but I don't want the land. I don't want to have to maintain it. I don't like the property taxes, but I want $1,200 a square foot in my kitchen spent because that's what I like to do and that's where I live. And so it's just working through. It's always a balancing act, and it's never. I'm going to tell you that it's never perfect because the market is always moving and shifting, and new ideas come. Today we were talking about a new company called Frame Tech in our construction meeting, where robotically built trusses and wall packs are being created in a factory in Camp Verde, and in phase 3 we'll see Frame Tech walls go up on the houses, reduces the period of time it takes to actually build the trusses, the construction time on the ground, get a much higher quality product, bowed 2x4s. And there's always problems when wood shows up on a semi from Phoenix or wherever it comes in from.
Right.
We get a higher quality product, our customer does. And frankly, you look at like wall finishes and drywall, and everything gets better if the framing is nice and straight and plumb.
Sure.
But that's an example of an evolution that's happened in our marketplace, meaning Northern Arizona, that wasn't available to us for phases 1 or 2.
Right.
So it's not just architecturally, it's the actual construction processes and procedures and materials that get used that go into the houses over the course of time.
And then positioning yourself, to your point, Stuart, in an opportunity that would enable you to take that innovation, to utilize it, to implement it, to have the resources and supports to do that, which you have in your current builder partners.
We've built a great team. I don't have any concerns after 14 years about the talent we have attracted and retained. I feel very, very confident that people will retire with us. Moving forward, the question becomes, what else do we need to augment and add to that team in order to accomplish our goals? Part of that will be market driven. The market. Stuart and I had zero intention of being here on this podcast. There was a ranch. It was a good deal. There was a giant bankruptcy, easily the best piece of real estate I've ever been involved in as far as fun. Stuart wasn't having fun. It was about $250,000 a month in legal fees, but I was having a great time. And so we were going to entitle and flip would be the jargon in real estate. That didn't work out. Nobody wanted to buy it.
Right.
Then we said, well, shoot, we got to develop it, I guess. So the first offers were so miserably low. And really at the end of the day, we ended up with one offer. We were pioneering. There was a vision. Everything we've talked about here today that's actually happened. Back then, we're selling it off of an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. Hey, this is what we're going to do. And I'm sure they're sitting there going, yeah, right, there's no way you're going to pull it off. Even if I think it's a halfway decent plan, there's no way you're going to pull it off. Well, that all happened. And so, we become reluctant developers. I wouldn't say that on the vertical side. We see the opportunity on multiple fronts to add value. Moving forward, then you go, okay, are we going to build the apartment complex or sell it? Everything from rooftops to mini storages. It's all on the menu. And so how are we going to play it moving forward? A lot of it will be just dictated macroeconomically by the quote unquote market.
Right.
Yeah, I think we wanted to go with more multifamily, possibly over in the Homestead area. And we'd always envisioned some multifamily in far north of Jasper. And maybe even there's a sliver of land up there that we don't own that we might JV on some multifamily right along the highway, but north. But we're thinking townhouses. We're thinking different mix of stuff in the Homestead. And that'll give variety. I think you can hit a lot of that lock and leave, desirable type housing that you were talking about, Jason.
And try to keep it affordable as it relates to the marketplace.
Right.
Central Yavapai County has never been quote unquote affordable as it relates to Buckeye or Pinal County. But costs always have a way of creeping higher and running away from you. They're very, very hard to contain. And so when Stuart's talking about product types that we don't offer at Jasper, we're looking, and we will certainly offer in different projects so that offering is available in the marketplace, and we have the ability to make that offer to someone that Mr. and Mrs. Wilson who show up at the Welcoming Center someday and say, hey, you know, my budget is $500,000 and today that's marginal to buy a house. Well, tomorrow that might be $200,000 less than what it would cost to purchase a home. And then hopefully technology will continue to catch up. You know, frame tech costs more than standard right now.
Right.
But they're in startup, so just like computers were super expensive and cell phones, hopefully it'll taper off and drift down. So there's so much that goes into it, makes it very dynamic, it's complicated. It's what makes it fun. That's why I like to come to work.
Are you having fun too, Stuart?
Yeah. Yeah, generally. Yeah. We think we're out of the woods.
Yeah.
You know, so it's been a little stressful financially over the years, but apart from that, no, it's fun. It's a new industry for me. I'm not a real estate guy, but I'm enjoying it. You know, the nice thing about real estate is it's an expert field. You need background, but everyone thinks they can do it. You know, and because we all live in houses and we live in the physical world, and we're all thinking about real estate because it's so much part of daily life. It's one of the more, if you will, it's probably one of the most accessible industries. I mean, apart from maybe food and restaurants.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm enjoying it. It's fun, and it's gratifying too. You know, it's right in front of you. You know, you can see it's a success. Like the post boxes outside. I mean, those were like, you know, kind of, we remember we had a walkway going all the way to the post boxes with solar on it.
Yes.
We still don't have any solar up
No,
here,
we don't.
which is a bit shameful, but we'll have to do something about that. But yeah, you know, it's nice because those are great looking post boxes. I drive by them and I go, I wouldn't mind picking my post up there. You know. You know, it's funny. It's little things like that.
It is the little things, the everyday life, right?
Yeah. But, you know, we thought about those post boxes forever. You know, each little thing here. And some of the stuff Ratty did with, you know, all of the monument signage. But it's all kind of, you know, it's low line. It's not pompous or boastful. Or it's nice. You know, then the J, that was his too, wasn't it? That was Ratty.
The J was a gift that I thought I was going to get fired over.
Oh, it was you.
No, it was not me. It was Radovich who did the J, and I was like, oh my God, what is that?
Oh,
and he's
great.
like, oh, it's awesome. I'm like, I was coming off of getting in trouble for colors on the monuments, the black stuff.
Oh, yeah, I didn't like the black ones, but it's weathered well.
So anyway, I will tell you because the amount of selfies and photo ops at the J,
it's huge.
blows me away.
Yeah, people have skateboarded it too. It's not allowed, by the way, but
What, you can skateboard on that?
yeah, the one up here by the clubhouse.
It's strong enough? Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah, but it has become it's almost like the Bean in Chicago, right? It's like people want to get their photo taken in
She
front of
would
the
go
J.
Midwest, wouldn't she?
It was just what was top
Home
of mind.
sweet home.
Oh, that's
Maybe
interesting.
we're not on that level yet, but it's definitely made its mark in the community and has made it a place where people want to come. So the innovation, the inspiration is certainly landing here.
So maybe when we build that tower finally, put a J on top.
There you go.
It is my initial.
Oh, there
Leave
we
your
go. The ego comes out.
I figured that's why I was going to get in trouble for the J.
Is he
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
I never
That's
twigged on
why
that.
I was worried about it. I was
Really?
like, my name's Jason. What the hell are you doing? He's going to think I'm like some egomaniac. Yeah, put a big J here. I'm going to put my stamp on this deal. It's like, but obviously it worked out great.
Definitely.
I was wrong again. Well, Stuart's got to get down the hill.
Yeah.
Stuart, thank you very much for your time. I
pleasure.
hope our residents find it interesting, and maybe someday as we broaden our platform, isn't that what they call media stuff? Is platform?
Wow.
Yeah, really coming along, huh?
Really? Can't
Can't wait till we have a YouTube channel. It's going to be awesome. Benny's going to have to get more involved though. So Benny, folks, is our producer.
Yes. Good shout out.
And, you know, on a good show, you get the producer involved,
For sure.
not just the host.
Have you had an interview on this about Copperfield?
No.
You
we could
know,
maybe,
I think you could actually victimize Benny
maybe we could
Interesting.
in 25 on Copperfield.
Maybe we could
the
do
story
a
of Copperfield.
bigger look at all of the projects in the master plan.
We could certainly hover up and start talking about that.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not a concept.
No,
It's crazy.
it's a reality.
And to
Yeah.
have Prescott's own Benny Wells talking about it would be such a
that's true
value.
too. A local hero.
And he can tell you the story of the septic tanks and how we nailed it. And
Which
how
is
we're,
totally
and how we're,
true.
Right.
how we're ecologically correct.
Sound, yeah.
And because that's the biggest problem with all of that spontaneous, unplanned development and up in that area that we're not doing. It's all responsible, I think. And you could talk about some of the antelope runs too. No, but really, it's an interesting. I think people might be interested in that. It's not Jasper, but it's right nearby.
You think he's going to be like sending emails in the middle of the night with new ideas for
I think
content?
so. I think it's going to,
No, but
by all
that
means.
way you can get Benny right up here. You see, he
I can be the
introduced.
producer that day.
You can be producer. Yeah, that's right.
It'll be a fun one. Well, stay tuned, folks, for the next one. And Stuart.
Oh, another
thank you.
one you could do.
Oh, you got more ideas.
Yeah,
I'm ready.
okay, I think you should get Mike Fan on, and on the story of the Dells
That would be a really
after
good one.
we start developing over there.
That would be another good idea. Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
I love that.
It would.
We could grill him. That might be interesting too.
You're going to call in
yeah.
from wherever you're at?
No, I'll be here for that one. So
Do that
Mike,
one again in person.
Yeah,
Well, we're going to have that one on the YouTube channel.
Yeah,
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, no, that would be good too.
I like that idea.
Because that's part of the ranches too. It's part
Absolutely.
of the broader
It's
story.
part of the story.
We could start that. I mean, we could really delve into the history. That would be the time to do it.
Yeah, the origin story.
Yeah. And I think people would find that because the story of how we got here is unbelievably complex, and you can't do it in 10 minutes. Yeah, it's very hard to generalize.
I don't know if you can do it in an hour and 10 minutes, really. That might be a two-part.
Two-parter.
Yeah, how did it happen? And all of the pitfalls and the slings and arrows. Because Mike suffered through that too. He made it happen,
100%.
and it's and now it's kind of it's seasoned. It's old
It's okay to
history.
talk about it now.
Well, I have to be careful because it's public domain.
Yes,
But I think it could be done in a interesting fashion.
no doubt about it.
We're
And I
always
think
open.
that as people move into the area to understand the history,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and not just from the Wilkinson perspective and the ranches has been, I think we've done a great job as the keeper of the flame there. I know that the family's very happy with us
Good.
because we've gone out of our way to make sure that we tip our hat to the family, generally speaking, on an annual basis.
for sure.
But the modern history, if you will, which is what
we might be able to get Dave and Cynthia Coombs to come to one. I don't know. You never know.
never know. I know that the family is proud. They're happy with us, and that's a very good thing.
Yeah, they were good people.
Very good people.
Okay. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Merry
you, Marla.
Christmas,
Thank
happy
you.
holidays.
Thank you, Benny. Thank you. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I hope people have a very healthy period, during the holidays. And when will this be broadcast?
January.
January. Okay. Well, then I hope they've recovered.
We'll share it after the new year. But yes, we hope they're recovered and for a prosperous 2025.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.